Vibes between Kyle Shanahan and Brandon Aiyuk are weird right now. Is there a personal beef between the two? What is beef? Beef is when I see you. So I don't really. We'll discuss what beef is next on the coaches meeting. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the coaches meeting. That's the coach. I'm Grant Cohn. This is presented by the Sleeper app. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel and the show and the coach's channel as well. How you doing, Coach?
What's beef? Beef is when what's going on, Grant?
What's going on? It's a bad boy reunion up in here.
Beef
but really,
is
we
when
got a game.
I see you. Mess around and be and I see you.
Yeah, something like that. Thank you. Shout out to Biggie. We got a game. Look, Niners practice in an hour and a half. We will know in 2 hours whether or not George Kittle and Fred Warner are playing, but they didn't practice the last 2 days, and they have another game on Thursday. So it just stands to reason that these guys might not play this week. Let's assume they don't, or let's go down the scenario of them not playing, particularly Warner. We're going to the Niners are going against an offense that runs the hell out of the ball. They run more than they pass. They have Kyler Murray. They have James Conner. What do you expect to see from the Niners run defense against Kyler this week if Fred Warner isn't out there?
Well, number one, we would hope to see some guys that are a little banged up get some time on task. We'd like to see D Winters, immediately come into his stead if he does not play. Also, one thing that I need to see from the Niners is that they can't sit back. They can't be vanilla for what they usually do. They have to blitz. They have to be able to dictate the pace. This is a team where they get behind the sticks because they really don't have a systematic passing game. It's all explosive plays, and a lot of their explosive plays is a derivative of defenses coming up to stop their dynamic run game. Now, the reason why they're dynamic is that they run in different facets. They not only have a very strong running back in James Conner, who's about six foot plus, 230 plus, can run the ball in between the tackles and actually runs as the game gets stronger. But then they have Kyler Murray, who actually is their run zone threat on the outsides. And really he can keep a defense off kilter. So really, we have to blitz. We have to dictate. We have to get them off the field. We can't let them get the easy passes on, easy downs on pass downs, guarding the explosive play. But all of that is window dressing. The real reason, the real way that we would be able to stop their run game is simply by having a better offense. We have to keep them off the field.
I like that.
The biggest thing for us right now is being able to lead with our run game. And I asked this question a couple of days ago, where is our defense the leading unit of this team anymore, right? Usually we wait on the offense to get going. They can throw away a couple of drives, getting their scripts together, Kyle getting everybody acclimated. But my biggest thing right now is understanding where we're going to lead from, right? Usually our defense is the ones who goes 3 and out. They're bend but not break, and they'll be able to give us the ball back quickly for us to finally get it together on offense. My biggest question right now is that if we're going to see that, when we're going to see that, if that's a real thing this year. Right now, offensively, it looks like we're going to have to be the ones that we're going to have to start out with the ball, hog the time of possession, protect our defense, understanding that we've got some very good talented guys there, but we just can't brute force and expect them to stop anybody. The best thing about this team is their trio, which is Kyler Murray, James Conner, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Go ahead, Greg.
Let me give you a stat. This is it. So the Niners played the Cardinals last year with Kyler, destroyed them, scored 45 points. Cardinals scored 29 points in that game. Fred Warner played. Dre Greenlaw played. Do you remember how many yards the Cardinals ran for in that game that they lost?
No.
234.
What?
They ran 30 times for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Niners last season. That was December 17th, 2023. That was with Trey McBride and Higgins and Carter as the top threats in the pass. That was with no Marvin Harrison Jr. to stretch the field. So, and now again, that was with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw on the field. So I think it's fair to wonder like what this run defense is going to do in this game. Like you take Warner off. We were talking yesterday on the 4-man front that we want to see more Tatum Bethune. Well, he could start this game at middle linebacker. His first start ever. And like on passing plays, he can't run down Kyler Murray sideline to sideline. Fred Warner could do that. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this one, and he may play, but this one injury is having me a little uneasy about who I'm going to pick to win.
Yeah, I mean, right now this could be a perpetual game of keep away, right? Where the Cardinals could get the ball, understand that they're controlling the game on the ground, and just understand that we're up 2 scores. We really don't have to rush anything. The Niners are not that dynamic on offense where they can double up on touchdowns. And as far as we're concerned, this defense isn't stopping us on the ground. I think that they're going to find a lot of let's just say it, man. This is going to be the most dynamic quarterback we've seen this season. We haven't seen anybody that can actually get out and hurt us tremendously with getting downfield.
And you saw what Sam Darnold did.
And Sam Darnold moved whenever he needed to against this defense. So right now, I mean, do we spy? What do we do on offense? I would like to see the other side of the pocket opposite Nick Bosa. Right? How are we going to be able to push the pocket with Malik Collins? Malik Collins is known as a defensive interior pass rush specialist, but I don't know about Jordan Elliott and Evan Anderson. I mean, we got or Kevin Givens. So these are the guys I'm naming that are going to have to be able to push the pocket, keep contained, make sure that Kyler Murray isn't getting outside into the flat and improvising down the field, because that's what this game could be. This game could be a beyond scheme game. This game could be.
It could come down to like you let Kyler Murray out of the pocket 3 times, and on 2 of those plays, he hits Marvin Harrison Jr. deep and you lose. But that is still secondary to the running game. Like the Cardinals are 9th in attempts, 5th in yards, 4th in yards per carry. It's a serious rushing attack. And it's not just James Conner. It's like 4 guys. So no Warner, no Greenlaw, top 2 linebackers out against a top 5 run offense in the league with a quarterback who's dynamic and a serious deep threat. So offense scored 29 points. Yeah, it was 29 points they scored against the Niners last year. If they score 30 in this game, you could say we should have seen it coming. What do you got for me?
They're not getting a break up front either. This is a very good offensive line. Paris Johnson Jr. is one of the best tackles in the NFL. Froholt is hands down, in my opinion, top 5 centers in the NFL. And then you got a really good stout guard in Will Hernandez in the right-hand side. I mean, this is not a weak offensive line. And then for context, just on average guys, you have Beacham at right tackle and Evan Brown at left guard. I mean, this is a well put together offensive line. So this isn't just about how can we put it? Just what do we call them? The Avengers, right? This isn't just about their skill guys who are going to carry the ball. They actually prove it up front, right? With this offensive line up front, this is going to be another offensive line, or this is going to be another team that, you know, it's almost as if the Niners put out in 2019, 2018, 2020 and forward, we put out like this beacon of standard of what it is to be a good, tough team. And I feel like everybody else believed us, and then we just didn't keep standard. Like as years have gone past, we used to look at, you know, the Cardinals offensive line and just laugh and say, well, these guys aren't even serious right now with what they're doing. And here we are. We're the tilted ones. These guys have gone out and got the groceries. Go ahead.
One more thing with their run game. It's an 11-on-11 run game. It's 11-man run game. Kyler is a threat on every running play. So they need to be practicing assignment football. They don't really face the zone read on this team. They don't do the zone read. So they need to be practicing it all week. And to not have Warner and Greenlaw out there, like those are your guys that you feel are going to not mess up their assignments, right? Because D Winters, for example, really nice young player, flows to the ball explosively. But what about his eyes? What about his eye discipline? That's going to be tested today. And same with Tatum, on Sunday. Same with Tatum Bethune. We'll have to see.
But that's the beautiful part about this and about the theme of this season, though, Grant, is that it's all hands on deck. It is not just players. Coaches got to coach. They got to develop these guys. Sitting back and saying that a guy is just too young is not an excuse anymore. Too young doesn't matter. They got to get on the field. They got to get played. They got to play, and they have to develop them in real time.
All right, coach him up. Let's go to the other side of the ball. George Kittle hasn't practiced this week. We'll see in a couple hours if he's out there for the walkthrough and if he's listed. I'm guessing he and Warner will be listed as questionable, but not so sure he's going to play. If he doesn't play, he was the red zone offense last week. He is the blocker at the point of attack on the outside zone runs. What would you expect from this offense without Kittle?
I'm not really worried about this offense against this defense. Quite honestly, this is another redux of us seeing New England again. This is not a talented defense. I mean, on all three levels of their defense, up front, linebacking core, and secondary. Basically, it's the Buda Baker and the Bakettes. Honestly, really, that's this defense.
I really can't name two more players on that defense.
Yeah, honestly. Right now, Zaven Collins, I'm giving up. Zaven Collins is a guy that I've been waiting on to produce for a long time. He's just, a middling player. Corners Murphy, Bunting, and Thomas V are not anything to write home about. As far as their interior defensive line is concerned, Roy Lopez right now, as far as interior, is the best guy that I can see as their nose tackle. You may have a little bit of fight out of Garadek over top of Trent over at right outside linebacker. But as far as what George would be able to see, which would be Mac Wilson Sr. and Kaiser White, I don't see it. The offense should win this game. If we lose this game, this says more about our offense and the preparation of what Kyle did to get these guys ready than it does against our defense. I understand we're facing Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. and James Conner in this run game. They're for real. All right, they got a good running game. But Washington hung 42 on this defense, okay? Like, I'm just saying, like, there's nothing about this defense where losing George Kittle instead of having Eric Saubert or Tonjes out there should be able to stop anything. So
here's why I ask you, because a couple of weeks ago, Kittle didn't play against the Rams. And going into that game, you're thinking like, man, this Rams defense is trash. And they just gave up 41 to the Cardinals. Niners are going to tear them up. But then Kittle didn't play. You good?
Yeah, go. Yes.
Kittle didn't play. And all of a sudden, Jordan Mason had his worst game of the season. He had his least efficient game of the season. I really believe that Kittle, and we've talked about this before, is arguably the most critical blocker in the 49ers outside zone system. And losing him, the efficiency in the run game suffers, at least on those plays. That's the way I see it. Maybe it won't this week. Maybe the Cardinals are that bad.
Well, we've been watching film. We're 5 weeks in. I like George, right? But they're getting older. And for what George brings as, the leading blocker, right? Like, I feel like Eric Saubert can do it. I've seen him do it. The blocking, I'm not really, but this is what happens when they get older, right? Some of the superpower things that they do, they get diminished by being outsourced to other players. And really, this is one of those games where I feel like if George wasn't here, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. I mean, this isn't a really good defense. I mean, and Eric Saubert has done a really good job in run blocking, especially at the point of attack on outside zone. He's done a phenomenal job. I don't know what he gives you in pass and actually catching the ball and getting out there and running routes. That's a whole different ball game. And that's where we would miss George. But in my opinion, it's even the guys who we depend on, like the delta between the depth that's behind them and what they actually do for us, it's dwindling because they're getting older. So as they're getting older, it's not as if elite changes. No, elite is still here. They're just farther away from it. And then the depth that's below them can actually reach them now to do the job. So it's coming to a point where I think that even our elite guys aren't operating on an elite level.
Well, we've seen the Niners have had an issue in the red zone this year. It's not nearly as effective, their offense in the red zone, as it was last year and in this last game. Kittle made an incredible catch over 3 defenders. Without him, I'm curious to see what the Niners do in the red zone. That being said, the Cardinals are among the weakest teams in the league defending in the red zone. So that's something to look for. You brought it up. The Commanders just destroyed the Cardinals a few days ago. And in that game, rookie Jaden Daniels, 26 of 30, no sacks, and like 8 carries for 60 yards. Almost a perfect game. He did throw a pick. If Jaden Daniels, who's a very good quarterback, can do that with Washington, what are your expectations for Brock this week?
Well, Brock has shown that he could do it against teams that he's supposed to do it against, right? We already saw him. I mean, we had the big game where, oh, what is Brock going to do without no CMC, no Debo Samuel, right? And how's he going to move forward with George possibly not playing, but he ended up playing. And Brock has shown that he can show up and do good against teams that aren't that talented. And really, that could be almost kind of like a backhanded compliment, but it's really not. If he wouldn't have done it against that team, I tell you, that's the number one caveat we've all been bringing up is like, and it was against the Patriots and it was against the Rams. Like, how bad defense can you not perform against? So he's doing what he's supposed to. This kind of piggybacks onto, I don't want to like step on the topic. But this piggybacks to the topic that we had yesterday of the growth of Brock Purdy as he moves forward, right? I expect him to take a step forward. This is another defense that he should perform against. It doesn't start getting real for Brock until next week, right? When he sees Seattle, then he's got to go see Kansas City and Dallas, and then we get to see exactly where Brock stands on like the primetime stage. But I'm pleased with Brock. I really don't have anything against anything that he's doing this year. He's actually shown improvement along the way. When he first started the season, he had this, I don't know, like this statuesque type style of play. He was like getting to the top of the pocket, standing really flat-footed, like kind of staring down receivers, not moving. And then we kind of transitioned to Brock taking 6 sacks, like running out of the pocket continuously. And then we kind of finally got what we needed to see in the New England game, where Brock was kind of marrying in the scrambling ability, the off-schedule throwing, understanding the game as trying to make everybody else involved on top of, being at the behest of Kyle and his play calling. So, I expect more good things out of Brock because he hasn't shown me any different thus far. It's TBD.
Yeah, I expect a hell of a game from Brock Purdy. He doesn't have Christian McCaffrey. He may not have George Kittle. Like, boo freaking who? You still have Jordan Mason, who's playing at an all-pro level. You have Jawan Jennings, who's playing at an all-pro level. You have Brandon Aiyuk and Debo Samuel, 2 of the highest-paid wide receivers in the league. He's got weapons. So I'd like to see him continue to play well. Let's take a minute to do some sleeper picks for our sponsor. I want to show my picks from last night because I came close and I am very proud of my sleeper picks. Before I do, here we go. Okay. Hold on. The picks from last night, Monday night, I lost because Baker Mayfield threw for 180. Bum.
I thought he threw for. Hold on. What did you go for?
He was on sale at 193. I was like, he's definitely throwing for more than 193 and a half, and I was wrong. Bucky Irving, I thought he would go for 45 and a half, more than that rushing yards. He went for 44. Thanks a lot, Bucky.
Literally that close?
Literally that close. And then Sterling Shepard caught a touchdown? Why? Who the hell asked him to do that? Anyway, I knew Darnell Mooney would go off. Okay, forget enough of that. I want your picks.
Let's go.
Marvin Harrison Jr., 57 and a half receiving yards. He's had one big game so far.
I would say less.
Less. Why?
They got to be smart. Well, I would hope that they would travel with him. We can't. This is what they do in the passing game. The explosive game is the big chunk of what they depend on. For us to get caught with that would be incredibly stupid. So I would hope that they at least bracket him, or at best travel with him.
I don't want to see Renardo Green on him, or Yadam, or anyone other than Lenore or Travarius Ward,
or George Odom, or Malik Mustafa. It needs to be at the worst Diamador Lenore. At the worst.
Hey man, you could argue that Lenore's been their best cornerback this season. No offense to Travarius Ward. He's been injured a little bit. He had a hamstring thing. He missed a practice, but Lenore has been locked the hell in since May. So
he has been.
He really has been. Okay. Harrison less. Kyler Murray, 29 and a half rushing yards. Can the Niners contain Kyler?
More.
You know what he's averaging against the Niners on the ground in his career? More than
against
50
the Niners?
More than 50 per game.
What's he averaging?
On the ground. Like 52 rushing yards a game against six games. So yeah, Absolutely more. Look at how good of a job Washington did against him last week. 3
yards.
Yo,
Forty
Dan
was at
Quinn's doing a
57,
good job.
59. Yeah, that's, but you know what happens. You know
He's
what
gonna come back
happens.
down to earth, I guess, but wow.
There you go. Come on. We already know.
Okay, Greg Dortch, is he scoring a touchdown in this game? Greg Dortch.
Greg Dortch.
I'm gonna say hell no.
No.
I like picking against players that I think have no chance in hell. Okay.
Greg Dortch is their spot. He might.
Michael Wilson, 36.5 receiving yards.
Yeah. Yes.
I think so, right?
Yep.
I think so. Okay, let's go Niners. Use check. 9.5 receiving yards. Use check.
Yes.
9.
Yes. No George. Yes.
Good call. Good call. Jawan Jennings. Will he score a touchdown?
Yes.
He's only scored one in one game this year.
He's going to score.
Boom. Especially without George, you need someone in the red zone.
Mm-hmm,
George Kittle, going to stay away from him. Brandon.
What about him?
We could go yards. We could go touchdown. What do you want to do? 58.5 receiving yards, or will you score a touchdown? Hasn't scored one yet. And he hasn't eclipsed 50. He hasn't had more than 48 receiving yards in a game yet this season.
So
going against terrible defense. What do you want? Yards or touchdowns?
Defense? We're going to go with yards. And I'm going to go with no. It's not happening. It's not happening. Flush that. No.
Ooh. Okay, Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, my favorite player. You know, I've always liked him, always praised him.
Okay.
Receiving yards, rushing yards, receiving touchdowns, anytime touchdowns. I feel like he's got to score a TD in this game.
He's coming off an injury, and you know no one loves Deebo like Kyle. He's going to get a full smorgasbord of targets. You get a target. You get a target. You get a target. Everybody gets a target. Whatever they say Deebo's going to get, give it to him because Kyle's going to make sure.
14.5 rushing yards, 53.5 receiving yards. He's gone over that in every game so far.
He's going, yes, give it to him. Exactly. Give it to him.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Can't do Purdy. Although we could do Purdy's rushing yards. 11.5 rushing yards for Purdy. He had 11 last game. He's had 11, 12, and 11 in 3 games in that random 41-yard performance. Will he run against Arizona?
Yes.
11.5.
This is a bad defense. Yes.
What? How dare you?
Your injury slip is full?
What?
What's good? What's good?
Well, but I want to make more picks. All right, that's good, though. Those are some good picks, though. Those are the picks that Coach and I made. We're going to put 25 on it because we're feeling really confident. If we get all 8 correct, we win more than $2,000, but I'm going to flex it just to be conservative here.
25 on it.
Got it.
Let's get it, man.
Boom. You want to play? Download the app, use promo code Cohn, get entered to win 2 tickets to the Niners Week 8 Sunday night game against the Dallas Cowboys. Also get entered to win a signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. He's on the way back. Also, make sure you check out the Best 49ers podcast. Comes out every morning on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's Ryan G. Hensley and me, and it's only audio only. So if you're watching and you don't get enough of my voice in your ear on a daily basis, boom, there's more for you.
Quick question.
Sure.
Ricky Pearsall comes back, gets called out. Give me the first song that's being played, and it can't be Many Men by 50 Cent. You want me to give you mine just to give you some time?
Yes, I want to know what you want.
All right, I'm going Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
They play that at practice like every day.
Thunder.
They play that every day at practice.
I went to Marshall. That was our song.
Okay,
Thunder.
fair enough. I like that. All right. The Niners are reinventing themselves on offense on the fly. The last 2 years. You
completely slid past your you know what you just did, right?
What I did?
You did not give a song.
I don't have a good one. I'm going to have to buy some time, change the subject, think of one. I'm sorry, I don't have a good one. I wish I did.
No, I get it. Go.
Hold on. Let's do some super chats as I buy time. Bay Area Baller 18 has been a member for 37 months. I can't even count that high. Thank you very much, Eric Price. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten. Since we all have these weapons, why is Brock throwing into so many tight windows, according to PFF?
They're not getting open. As simply put as that. We saw it in camp. Right now, Brandon Aiyuk, I mean, right now, you could honestly say that Juwan Jennings is probably the best route runner that we have right now. Nobody really wants to talk about why BA is struggling. It's not rust, okay? It's not.
Because we went back to last year. It was the playoffs.
Come on, man. He's not in shape. BA is not in shape. It's
I think
just
that's pretty
true.
Clear. He's not as fast as he normally
He's not as fast. Like, are we not seeing that he is not as quick? He's not as smooth as he was. As he's running through his routes, he's giving out
quicker right now, Aiyuk or Jennings?
Jennings. And that's not facts. But if you look at just how they're playing, Juwan Jennings is playing much faster than Brandon Aiyuk. And that's
Better
what
shape.
it is. He hasn't caught up to the speed of the game. He's just not in shape. It's facts. And Debo never got open. Let's stop. Let's just stop.
Also, what's interesting, teams are starting to drop 8 against the Niners, which is an interesting strategy because the Niners want to get the ball out of Purdy's hands quick, and they want to have guys get yards after the catch. It's hard to get yards after the catch when there's 8 tacklers waiting for you, and they're trying to keep everything in front of you. And we're seeing Purdy hold the ball and try to make plays, which is great, but it's not the Niners' offense. The Niners' offense is quick pass, yards after the catch. And seems like dropping 8 into coverage and rushing 3, it takes him out of that.
All of that. Too many people in the lanes.
Correct. Keith Murphy says, do we have a timeline on Greenlaw return? No, we do not. Keith Murphy wants to know return of the Mac. I love that.
That's a good one. I like that.
Okay, I got one. What about Slick Rick? The ruler has returned.
It's too East Coast. It will hit right in the
He
bay.
calls himself Slick Rick, man. The ruler has returned.
True. You know what? Now, what if they played Notorious? Remember that? Notorious. Notorious. We are. That would be a fly ass song to come out too. I mean, with not the political current news notwithstanding, nobody wants to be standing next to Bad Boy right now, but I get it. It'll be a good song.
How about Hit 'Em Up by Tupac?
Oh, yes. That's it. Hit 'Em Up.
Because Tupac got shot outside the record studio at Bad Boy, and then he was on one after that.
Hit 'Em Up is all. Yeah, that's why. I like that one.
Was Diddy there at Union Square that day? Was Diddy anywhere in the? I'm just saying. Do we really know? First it was Tupac, then it was Ricky Pearsall. I mean, you just don't know these days. Okay, I got a question. So the Niners are reinventing themselves on offense on the fly without Christian McCaffrey. He was such a huge part of what they did in terms of if he's on the field, they could anticipate the coverages they would see. Like they knew what they would get and they exploited it. Now he's gone. Things are more difficult. But they're still doing pretty well. They have a lot of talent. What is one thing you'd like to see the Niners do differently on offense, or do more of on offense, or do less of on offense? An evolution to help them find a new identity. I got stuff. What do you got?
I think one thing that they need to do is they need to stop with the play action earlier in games. Run the ball enough to actually deserve play action. That's what I used to always come up with, is that play action is something that you earned. It's something that you deserve, right? It's something where you develop a run game, all right, and the success of that run game actually bears fruit later on in the game. But for us to be running play action in the first 3 to 4 drives of a game, just because we get maybe a couple of plus plays, or really I feel like we run things in the context of doing it. It's like, I don't know, like we do things because the rules say we can, but we don't look at the context of doing things, right? It's like the kid who comes in and, when you're growing up as a young man and it's the first time you don't realize you're not a child anymore and that you're at a family event and you get up to get your food first. And it's like women and children and you don't realize you're a man yet. It's like, no, you're not a child anymore. You have to step back. It's not right to do it. And we do things because we feel like we're in the right context of doing things the right way, but it doesn't mean that the game calls for it to happen. Like if we get the defense in the right position where play action matters, if we only have 20 plus yards on the ground running at the time, then why are we running play action? I don't know if you're reading something you don't agree with, or if you don't agree with what I'm saying to you right now.
Like, hold on. We got some breaking news. Breaking news.
Let's go.
Okay.
This is throwing me off.
Sorry about it. Kyle Juszczyk just tweeted about me. So the NFLPA put out a thing 30 minutes ago, and this is what they wrote. Over the past 3 years, the NFLPA has tried to work with the NFL and Pro Football Writers of America to move media interviews out of the locker rooms. However, there has been little willingness to collaborate on a new solution. Players feel that locker room interviews invade their privacy and are uncomfortable. This isn't about limiting media access, but about respecting players' privacy and dignity. The NFL's current media policy is outdated. We, the NFLPA Executive Committee, urge the NFL to make immediate changes to foster a more respectful and safer workplace for all players. In the meantime, we encourage each player to ask for interviews outside the locker room during the week. This is the softest thing I've ever heard. They don't want interviews in the locker room. I mean, it's part of the NBA. It's part of the MLB, the NHL. It's part of professional sports. But the NFL is so powerful that they want to push out media entirely. Kyle Juszczyk 9 minutes ago, quote, tweets and says, maybe we can keep Grant Cohn from always hanging around our lockers while we're changing.
Stop it. Yo, Kyle Juszczyk. First of all, I've had just enough out of the fullback. I've had just enough out of the fullback. All right? Dude, TFG. This fucking guy. Why, dude? Why? Why? Hanging around us while we change. First of all, you're only important for 4 months out of the fucking year. Let's get that straight, okay? So you're not a celebrity, all right? You don't do anything important but play a game. We're doing a job, and God forbid if the money that you make has media obligations where you have to connect with your coworkers, not just your teammates. Your coworkers, the people in the building are attached to help you facilitate your job. That's concessions. That's the meter maid. That's the media. Why do they only want to do half of their job? Your job is to deal with the media. Your job is to get in there, take your damn shower, answer the 5 minutes of tough questions, and get the fuck out. Do you really want to be behind a velvet rope? What do you want to be? Do you want to be a pampered pony? I thought you guys were ball players. Like, what type of interviews do you expect? Softball puff pieces all the time? Do you expect to be on the phone with Rich Eisen every offseason when you're talking about back to 49ers football? The truth of the matter is, Juice, is that if there's anybody who has stuck their foot in their mouth to the media, it's you. You need to start understanding that the people that are bothered by the media, you simply aren't media trained. Harvard grad.
Can I just explain how it works? Can I explain how it works in the locker room? So you get let in. There's 53 players plus practice squad. There are lockers all around the outside plus a couple in the middle. Media walks in. And if there isn't a player who's doing like a group interview, we all kind of linger in the middle. And if someone's getting undressed, you look away. You try to linger in the middle, talk to other media people, go to group interviews. And if there's someone you want to talk to one-on-one, you go over. But you don't go over when they're naked. And I don't appreciate Kyle Juszczyk insinuating that I want to look at his ass or any player's ass, because I really don't. That's super unprofessional. And I don't appreciate it. So I do want to be in the locker room, though, and I think it's whack that the NFLPA is trying to push media out of the locker room. I think the NFL's way backward on this, man. You need more media, not less. That's how I feel.
It's ridiculous. It's Bush League. It's weak. It's soft. It's dusty. Like, why? You don't want the media to be in the locker room? What's next? You don't want to be naked in the showers? Everybody's got to wear shorts and Speedos now? What do you want? How much concession do you need? while you make your millions of dollars? What? How much? Right? I was insulted by the Niners asking me to take a pay cut, and you only take 40% of the team's snaps, and then you tweet and have a nerve to tweet and have an opinion. Don't block.
Ezio Sanchez says Aiyuk for Hassan Reddick and a Jets third rounder. It's a thought. Joseph Furreal says, how do you approach a mystery? Mine is with an open heart and presence of mind. Kyle drafts by mystery and vibes, but those front office drafted players aren't his vibe. Okay, let's talk about Kyle. So look, it was a week ago that Kyle Shanahan had the blow up with Aiyuk. He saw Aiyuk wearing the wrong shorts. He walked over to him, yelled at him for 2 minutes in front of the media. I caught it on camera. It became a viral thing on ESPN and NFL Network. He could have done that privately. He could have called Debo over and said, Debo, I want you to talk to Brandon. But he made it public. He did it on his own. And we know that it was reported there was a contentious negotiation between them. Kyle put him in the doghouse years ago. Do you feel like, I mean, we don't know. Do you wonder if there is a personal issue between these two?
I don't think it's as personal as it goes to what they both care about. And what they both care about is how they're seen by the team. I think that's what this is. I think this is a lot of posturing, and Debo only has, not Debo, Jesus, BA only has what would be perceived animus, because we don't know, but BA would only have perceived animus towards Kyle, not because of what he thinks about Kyle, is because of how he sees Kyle treats other players juxtaposed to how Kyle treats him. Right. So it's not even really Kyle's true respect that he wants. It's almost kind of like, all right, well, if Kyle treated BA like Debo, do you think BA would have a problem with Kyle? No. And it's not as if that BA wants to be a man. He just wants to be a favorite. He just wants to be coddled the way everybody else does. Right. It's not like BA is coming out there saying that. I mean, if you want to see like true animus, then you'd see BA yelling at Kyle to give me the ball during games, right? Like that type of stuff. Like you'd be seeing him upset with his targets in a real way. But you don't see any of that. You see him not wearing shorts, testing the waters like a petulant child. What he's trying to do is he wants to get chose. It's kind of weak, but he wants to be a favorite. He wants to get chose. And Kyle's problem is that Kyle just wants BA to stay in his lane, and how BA has acted towards Kyle in the open has made Kyle seem a little bit weak in how he controls his players. So Kyle doesn't even want BA's respect. Kyle just wants the perceived respect from the people that he cares about, which is Trent and Debo and Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. And he really cares about how he's perceived about his team. So really, they're going at each other for issues that are outside of each other, in my opinion. BA has a problem with Kyle because Kyle basically won't show him the favoritism that he shows everybody else. That's why BA is acting out in these weird ways. If it was really about standing on business, then it was like, dude, you got paid, show up, work, catch the ball, handle your business. But the fact that you want special treatment I feel as though that he thinks that there's another level or another access to what being on this team means, right? Where I get to be a Juice or a Debo or a Nick Bosa, and I don't necessarily I can bend the rules. I have more of a curated experience on this team. I'm one of the specialized players that helps this team out. I don't have to follow the garden variety day-to-day SOP that you put out. And Kyle is snapping him back into that, saying that, no, number one, I pull those players into that echelon. You don't fight your way through. All right. That's number one. And number two, you forced my hand and tried to make me look bad in the course of doing it. And I have to slap you back down to let you know, and to let the people know that are on my side, that no, you're chosen over here. There's no other way. There's no coup. You don't get to revolutionize yourself into being a leader on this team. And I think that's just what it is. It's a fight for the energy of the team. And it's very unfortunate.
To me, I think it's fair to say that Aiyuk's a little immature, but at the same time, he's 26. It's understandable for a wide receiver who was in junior college to be a little bit of a late bloomer or whatever. So it seems like what Aiyuk is able to do is bring Kyle down to his level, man. You're 45. It's not as understandable for you you should be bringing Aiyuk up to your level. And when you go and yell at him in front of everyone, it seems like you trying to prove a point. Like, I won, and everyone saw it. where people shouldn't even know that there's an issue between the two of you. And I think that's kind of like a parent-child relationship, not to call Aiyuk a child, but the coach is a bit of a parent. And you have to set the rules of engagement. This is how we talk to each other. When I'm not going to, it's not a 50-50 power struggle here. It's like, this is how it is. I feel like Kyle's missing that a little bit with Aiyuk.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna fizzle itself out though, Grant. It can't last for too long, right? I mean, I I just think that as the as real games start coming along, I mean, we're facing the Cardinals and we're facing, the Patriots. But when the Chiefs, the Cowboys start running along, when we gotta see the Seahawks, like, this can't persist. And if it does, it says more about this team than it does if it did, right? Like at some point they got to get to work. And that we can't be seeing this stuff during practice like 6 weeks down the line.
David E says, so if the Niners win, are they back?
Back where?
Back to 3-2.
Yeah, they're back to 3-2. I think that's about it. I think, are we official? Let me ask you this. Are we game to game with this team now?
Hell yeah. Yeah. With no Fred Warner and no George Kittle this week,
we're game to game.
Game to game. Ezio Sanchez says players don't understand that the media is the reason why they're rich, ? NBA has been more player friendly recently and the product has declined heavily.
Yeah. It's the truth. It's not once you become elitist and the fans feel like you're kind of like 10,000 miles away, they can't touch you, they can't deal with you. And even the interactions that they have with you, they come off incredibly waxy and fake. The media is the window into thought process and context. And without the media, then how do you hold anybody accountable? How do you even ask questions? I mean, what else do they truly want?
I do think it's rich that Kyle Juszczyk is saying that media shouldn't be allowed in the locker room, because of all the players since Kyle Shanahan became the head coach, no one has done more talking in the locker room than him. He's always at his locker. He's always available. He always wants to talk because he doesn't play that much, or he does play but doesn't get the ball. And he's never talking about himself because he doesn't do anything, but he's there to explain the game plan or talk about his teammates or his coach or whatever. He's a designated talker in the locker room. Like, if he didn't have that, what would he do?
I mean, right now he's the self-appointed spokesman of the team. That's what he is.
He really is.
He's the self-appointed spokesman.
He's not an offensive weapon.
When anything if you think about it, it's kind of, in a sense, Kyle Juszczyk is kind of like the whipping boy of the team. When things are bad, when things are awkward, who's the first person that gets trounced out to be able to give out filler words that don't mean anything? Kyle Juszczyk.
He went to Harvard.
I mean, no, but he went to Harvard. I mean, back to 49ers football, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. Kyle Juszczyk is always going to go down as one of the most thought-provoking and riveting interviews that we've ever heard in 49ers football. A true pillar to the fullback community in the NFL at large and the San Francisco 49ers as an organization. Class personified. What would we do without 4-4 on the field?
Oh, my God. Okay, so I wanted to talk about we did this earlier, and then I got distracted. One change the Niners should make on offense. Dude, they gotta bench Juszczyk. They gotta bench Juszczyk. I mean, use him sometimes, but it seems like obviously they'd be a more dangerous team through the air if they had Jennings on the field full time instead of Juszczyk and his one catch a game. But let's talk about the running game. Juszczyk's a good blocker, but when he's in the game, defense is bringing their base personnel. That's a bigger defense. They load the box. You take him out and put in Jennings. Now you're getting a nickel back replacing a linebacker. It's a smaller defense, a softer defense. I think their running game would improve from 11 personnel.
Yeah, I think that right about now, the most archaic part of football with the number one rushing attack is having a fullback. You can get it done in a lot of different ways. You can add an H-back. You can spread them out. As far as defense is concerned right now, nobody is really specialized on a defense to take care of a fullback in a specialized role. Maybe in his earlier years, Juice could have been something that could have been used. But for right now, if you're not tipping the scales at maybe 270 pounds where you can actually become a real asset in the run game, I mean, design blocks where you're logging defenders and running out in space and going out for the occasional wheel route where you basically all but admit that you're happy to get the ball maybe 5 times out of the year at being the most bloviated salary at your position. I think it's time to move on.
I got one more thing I'd like to see the Niners do, and this isn't an evolution. It's getting back to who they are. They need to throw the ball to Mason. So much of their offensive identity and philosophy is throwing the ball to their running back and yards after the catch. He had a beautiful touchdown catch called back last week because of a block, a hold downfield on George Kittle that may or may not have been a hold, but he did his job well. I'd like to see, instead of giving him 25 carries between the tackles, which he can handle, 20 carries and 5 targets. It's what the offense does well. And it might actually help him in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, right now, that's where they are struggling. The red zone targets and opportunities is something that the 49ers have had quite a hard time executing and finding success at. I mean, if you're not going to be physical, I mean, what is an old fullback? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, what is the skill set that comes that starts falling off? I mean, if you're not going to be in the pass game, you damn well better be physical in the run game. And we got film right now. I wish we were on my channel right now because I'd queue up film right now of Juice getting moved all over the field like furniture. So at this stage of the game, it's kind of like it's time to move on. I mean, he should have been glad that the pay cut that was asked of him was only a minimal $1 million. I mean, he lucked out.
Yep, he lucked out. Well, that's what we got for today. Thanks for tuning into the coaches meeting. Make sure you like and subscribe and check out my podcast, the Best 49ers Podcast, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Coach, good stuff today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.